Greetings, Earthlings, and indeed unspecified beings on other worlds. Welcome to the latest in my series of musings on my favourite science fiction novels. This is number 13 in this series, making it unlucky for some. Now, just a quick note that as always there will be some spoilers ahead, but I will attempt to avoid the critical plot details. Now, today we will be discussing one of the most provocative and prophetic books in modern history. Written by visionary American author Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451 is both chilling and mundane at the same time, and contains many predictions and possible fates that await our present civilization. Bradbury is one of my favourite authors in any genre, and proved to be a major piece of connective tissue bridging the golden age of science fiction and modern science fiction. I could have picked from a few works of his, such as The Martian Chronicles or The Illustrated Man, but settled on 451 due to its present-day relevance. 451 is one of those rare genre novels that is widely imprinted in the public consciousness, even if it is sometimes just the title that people are aware of. Written in 1953, it falls into a category of dystopian possible future stories, such as 1984 or Brave New World, and is deservedly the equal in standing to those works. The story is set in America, several generations forward from 1953, possibly 2049 according to Bradbury himself. Fahrenheit 451, of course, is the temperature at which book paper catches fire and burns, and we immediately learn why, as the protagonist, Guy Montag, is a fireman. But in this future, firemen do not put out fires, but instead burn books. And Montag apparently loves his job and the roaring flames. The books are burnt to maintain the peace of mind of people in a society that does not want to be challenged, with difficult and conflicting ideas contained within those books. However, a series of encounters with key characters begins to reveal to us the true vacuous despair of this society and of a growing conflict within Montag. First of these is a young woman who lives in this area, Clarice McClellan. Her free-thinking and questioning attitude sparks something within Montag, which coincides with his saving his wife's life following an overdose. He begins to re-examine his attitudes towards his job, his life, and the society around him. These subversive thoughts only increase as he opens his eyes to the indulgent but empty lives around him. He attempts to discuss this with his wife, but is rebuffed, and she is mortified by his new habits and thoughts. This behaviour puts him on the radar of his fire chief, Captain Beatty, who suspects Montag is slipping and threatens him to get him back in line. Montag has been secretly taking books from fire scenes. He seeks out an old English professor he once met, Faber, to ask him what he should do. He allies with Faber, who tries to assist Montag's escape from the attentions of Beatty and the authorities, and a mechanical bloodhound programmed to seek out Montag. Now, as a background to these events, there's an impending war with an unspecified enemy, and bombers constantly flying through the skies, adding to the sense of cloying doom pervading society. Montag finally escapes to the country, where he meets a final important character, Granger, who leads a group of literate exiles. Montag completes his journey, and hope is offered for the future for himself and human society. For me, the most striking and frightening component of the book is not the actual burning of the books themselves. In fact, those events only take up a small portion of the story. It is the revelation, extended to us via Beatty's discussions with Montag, that this censorship and intellectual vandalism was not imposed on an unwilling populace by a dictatorial government, but was actively and collectively sought by the people themselves. They are the ones that demanded that books, literacy, and any challenging media be suppressed, as they craved comforting ignorance instead. To quote Fire Chief Beatty, "There you have it, Montag. It didn't come from the government down. There was no dictum, no declaration, no censorship to start with, no. Technology, mass exploitation and minority pressure carried the trick, thank God. Today, thanks to them, you can stay happy all the time. You are allowed to read comics, the good old confessionals, or trade journals. So, the people willingly gave up their freedoms to the government. And when you consider today's cancel culture, where mobs of people attack each other online to suppress opposing views or challenges to their opinion, it seems to me that Bradbury hit that nail squarely on the head. Intellectual curiosity and classical liberal free thinking dies not with a bang, but with a long, drawn-out whimper. Indeed, there are literal book burnings being carried out today, as older books deemed not suitable for today's hypersensitive tastes are being dragged out of schools, universities, and public libraries and thrown in dumpsters, both real and metaphorical. Ironically, including works such as Fahrenheit 451 and 1984. These are not the only eerily accurate predictions Bradbury makes. Montag's wife is addicted to and stupefied by her viewing parlour with its multi-screen saturated coverage of inane comedy and vacuous reality shows, foreshadowing today's media saturation and social media addiction. Her buzzing earshells clamped in her ears can be compared to Bluetooth headsets, and even the frightening mechanical bloodhound has its parallel in the robotic dogs patrolling the streets of locked-down Shanghai as we speak. The principal antagonist, Beatty, is a fascinating character. Now, he is the narrative proponent of the collective view of the society which suppresses books, yet he himself is a literate man who owned a large collection of books and frequently quotes from them. He argues that the books he knows so well have led him to conclude that their differing opinions are dangerous, so he argues that they are right to be burnt as they are harmful. Ignorance is bliss, as it were. And we see that argument used today, that contrary opinions are harmful and need to be banned. Again, to quote Beatty, "You can't build a house without nails and wood. If you don't want a house built, hide the nails and wood. If you don't want a man unhappy politically, don't give him two sides to a question to worry him. Give him one. Better yet, give him none." Fahrenheit 451 has been adapted for movies, TV, and audio many times. Most notably the 1966 movie directed by Francois Truffaut. Alas, I'm not a big fan of that movie, as French New Wave cinema is not to my personal taste, and I find it too stylized. I would have preferred something a little more direct and grittier, which in my opinion would have served the story better. Well, that about wraps it up for Fahrenheit 451. Thanks for watching. Many thanks to those of you who have also watched my previous videos on science fiction novels and short stories and have left me feedback and discussion on those. I do appreciate the comments very much, and I appreciate your watching. I will be back soon with another science fiction classic. Till then, stay well and remember to look to the future.